But if those biological males are required to dress with female athletes, does that constitute sexual harassment?
Are you referring to transgender girls?
Yes.
I believe transgender girls should have access to all the experiences that public schools provide.
I now recognize Ms. Houchin for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your testimony. I'm going to, in the spirit of time, just go through a few yes or no questions, Mr. Secretary. As you know, the House and this committee have passed the Protection of Women and Girls Sports Act in an effort to protect Title IX, which the Department of Education has failed to do. As a parent of 2 female student athletes, I have a vested interest in this issue. Do you believe that requiring those women to undress in front of Leah Thomas and allowing Leah Thomas to undress in front of female athletes constitutes sexual harassment, yes or no?
I don't believe students should feel unsafe in any locker room.
Do you believe that it constitutes sexual harassment to force women to undress in front of biological males?
I do believe forcing women to undress in front of biological males is a concern and a sexual, yes.
So if Thomas identified as male, would requiring female swimmers to dress with him have constituted sexual harassment?
Can you repeat the question?
If Leah Thomas identifies as male, would requiring female swimmers to dress with him have constituted sexual harassment?
I think I know the line of questioning, and I'd be happy to entertain.
Just say yes or no.
It's not a yes or no question for me.
It is a yes or no question. Is it sexual harassment or not?
You can continue down. You can use your time to go down that line of questioning.
If female athletes are sidelined from participation in women's sports or are denied awards or other recognition only because a male who self-identifies as a girl competes in the sport, does this constitute sex discrimination under Title IX?
I'd be happy to discuss the merits of our proposal and hear your concerns about the policy, but this line of questioning
yes or no, do you think that female athletes sidelined from participation in women's sports, if they're denied awards or recognition because a male who identifies as a girl competes in the sport, does that constitute sex discrimination under Title IX, yes or no?
I believe the harassment and discriminations against transgender students is something that is rampant in this country. And as a department, we're proposing regulations to make sure that all students are seen and valued for who they are and given the same opportunities.
So under Title IX, under that interpretation, are you admitting then that Title IX, under your interpretation, no longer protects female athletes' equal opportunity on the basis of sex?
I'm proud of the work we're doing to make sure all students feel valued and seen in schools. And there are students right now that are hurting because elected officials have chosen to use their platform to further ostracize them. And we take pride in making sure
Why have you proposed regulation that will, under some circumstances, require schools and colleges to commit acts of sex discrimination under Title IX by permitting biological men to take the place of female athletes in women's sports?
If you look at our proposed Title IX regulations, that it doesn't do that. What it does is prevent blanket bans on students who are transgender and allows students to participate in co-curricular activities, which are part of the education process.
But if those biological males are required to dress with female athletes, does that constitute sexual harassment?
Are you referring to transgender girls?
Yes.
I believe transgender girls should have access to all the experiences that public schools provide.
Why is it not, why do you not feel that female athletes should be protected from sexual harassment?
All athletes should be protected from sexual harassment.
But what you're saying is contradictory. Okay, I'm going to move on to free speech. The suppression of conservative speech has been an ongoing issue. Over 60% of students in a recent survey believe the political and social climate on their college campuses prevents free speech and expression. Yet earlier this year, the department questioned the necessity of the free inquiry rule that protects students' rights to free speech on their campuses and allows courts to hold institutions in violation accountable. Do you believe that violations of free speech are not happening on college campuses?
Free speech is the foundation for higher education, and we support it 100%. The department can only act after the court rules that a public institute of higher education has violated the First Amendment.
Yet, Secretary Cardona, your department is questioning the effectiveness of the rule before the legal process established by the rule has ever been carried out.
We believe in free speech and the importance of protecting the free speech on college campuses.
Your department has also questioned if the free inquiry rule has detrimental effects that seem contradictory. How can a rule have detrimental effects if no cases have been ruled on by a judge yet, and no final judgments have been transmitted to the department to act on.
I'd be happy to have my department reach back out to you to share information about it. And I'm proud of the fact that we're
I yield the-
protecting the freedom of speech that our students have on
Thank you.
on higher education institutions.